printed rocket-propelled grenades.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of, I'm not sure what the name of this channel is because I think it's going to be the backup channel I'm going to do car stuff on, but I haven't come up with a name yet. So welcome back to this channel. Today we are swapping out these inky dinky tires on my 1995 Mitsubishi Pajero Mini K car. So this is a right-hand drive Japanese import. If you're familiar with these, welcome. If not, it's a very small SUV, four-wheel drive, and it comes with some very narrow, tiny tires that almost are clown-like. Today, we're putting on some big boys. We're slapping some serious meat on here. I've got a set of 235 Falken Wild Peaks that we're gonna slap on here and pray to God that they fit. I am really not sure. So I have a buddy with one of these vehicles and he has BF Goodrich KO2s on his, and he said they fit fine. They do rub at full lock, but other than that, they fit okay. So I'm hoping that the Falken Wild Peaks, which are not quite as pricey as the KO2s, will fit on here. From what I've heard, they're around the same size-ish as the KO2s. Hopefully they're not too much bigger. And yeah, we're gonna see if we can make this thing look a little bit more intimidating, because you know, it is that kind of vehicle. It's 1,800 pounds of pure anger and brute force. Now, I found some really inexpensive old Jeep wheels. So these are like YJ Jeep wheels, I believe. They're OEM Jeep wheels from the 90s, which is kind of period correct for this vehicle. This is a 1995 after all. So I got some 90s Jeep wheels. The whole set of them was 75 bucks. Found them on Facebook Marketplace. Understandably, the tires on them were totally shot. I'm not putting those tires on here. They're not the nicest wheels. They were extremely dirty and beat up when I got them, but I kind of cleaned them up as much as I could. I don't think they'll look bad on here if we can get them to fit. So with all that said, let's slap these tires on here and see what happens. All right, as you can see, the wheel and tire does fit on this thing. It is sticking out a little bit. Hashtag stance gang. The space here is kind of a little bit what I'm worried about in the back, but mostly the front. That is the big test if these are gonna fit. I mean, I don't know even the offset of these wheels. Like I said, they were very cheap. If they don't fit, I'll have to take them off and I'll get rid of them and get a different pair of wheels with a different offset maybe, but so far, it's kind of looking a little promising. I'm gonna put the other one on the back and then we will torque them down and then I'll put the other ones on the front and we'll see. That will be the true test. I don't know. We're cutting it close. It looks so ridiculous right now. It's like, it looks like a drag car or something. All right, let's see how it goes. Here goes nothing. Moment of truth. How are we sitting here? That's not that bad. That looks fine. I thought we were gonna have much more of a chance of rubbing here in the back. Actually looks like there's less room on the left than there is on the right. This does look really funny the way it is right now though. All right, I'm gonna torque these down and then we'll start on the fronts. All right, so unfortunately, I put the front tire on and the width of that Wild Peak in 235 is rubbing up against our coil spring right here. And that is a no-go. That is not a drivable situation. Run into some bad things with that. So I luckily have a friend who gave me these spacers, and He runs spacers on his Pajero Mini. They're fine. There's people tell you don't run spacers or whatever, but I think as a temporary solution, I'm going to run spacers on this thing. I think it'll look a little, it'll just look like a little wide boy. I think the spacers will do just fine. So I gotta go out and grab a nut, which I'm missing for one of these spacers, and then we'll come back and we'll put 1-inch spacers all around. The saga continues.
All right, guys, it's the next morning. I was able to put the wheels on with the spacers, but god damn, what in the stance is going on? That is protruding quite a bit. And that might be a little too far. I mean, it's not horrendous, but it certainly is not ideal. What we're gonna do is, the rears fit fine, obviously. The front is where it's impacting the spring. My thoughts are that it's just barely rubbing up against that spring when it's all the way flush. So I think I can actually get away with just a tiny, very small spacer that doesn't have extra lugs on it. So all the lug nuts will go onto the factory lugs. This will come in a good inch, I think, around that. Although not quite an inch, but maybe like 3/4 of an inch. I'm gonna go to the auto parts store and see if we can get those spacers just to see if they'll fit. I don't know if I'll drive on them, but I just wanna see if they'll fit, and then I might order some ones that are similar that are fit to get to the bore on these wheels. All right, so I'm back. Got these spacers. They're 5/16 of an inch. I am not going to drive with these. I probably wouldn't recommend this, and most people will tell you that. These are just like universal ones. They're not hub-centric ones, meaning this circle isn't set to fit the hub bore on this vehicle. I did find some ones on Amazon that are specifically made for these Mitsubishi, and it's like a 67, I think, 0.1 millimeter hub bore. So these are just to see if this distance, 5/16 of an inch, which is about 8 millimeters, will get this wheel far enough out that the tire won't rub against the coil spring. So let's put them on. Oof. Yeah, get in there. All right, so there's our fitment with the 5/16 spacer. You can see, so there's no spacer in the back, but there's a little spacer in the front, versus this, which is a whole 1-inch spacer, and that thing is sticking out so far. It's still popping out, but it's not that. That's a little bit much. All right, so it's a couple days later, and these hub-centric wheel spacers came in. They're 5 millimeters. I really don't know if it's gonna be enough room to give that clearance on the spring, but I figured you might as well try 5 millimeters. The other ones were about 7.9 millimeters, and they just barely fit. So it's gonna be a very close call, but it's worth it to see if these will go on there, because then if it works, it'll actually be the tightest basically possible the wheels will be to the car in terms of distance, and it'll be better than a 1-inch spacer, that is for sure. So let's check to see if these fit. Oh yeah, that's pretty close to the tire, huh? But it's not hitting the tire. Question is, when we put it down, what will happen? This is maximum fitment here, so let's see. Hopefully we don't puncture a tire here. All right, let's check this space here. All right, we got these heckin' chonkers mounted on here now on both sides, and I cranked the wheel full lock, and I checked. There's still about 2 millimeters of space between that spring, the coil, and the tire. I'm going to go ahead and mount the rears, and then we're gonna send it around the neighborhood. There was no rubbing in terms of the spring against the tire when I checked. As long as that remains the case when I drive, then I think it's okay to take, you know, at regular speeds and such. We're gonna be very careful, and I'm gonna check inside of the tire, see if there's any kind of marking from where that spring would be. Hopefully not. I say we put the rears on and we send it, baby. All right,
here we are driving around the Pajero Mini, around the neighborhood. Everything seems to be okay. Let's test and see if it rubs around the wheels at like full lock here. No. Huh. It's not. No rubbing. Whoa. I didn't quite go to full lock there, and I am just on pavement, but there was no rubbing there, which is very good. I'm very pleased and surprised that that is the case. It feels like the gears are a little bit longer, and that would make sense because of the tire size, making the gears longer, just because it takes more to travel around to do one revolution. Let's check and see if this thing's rubbing at all. No rubbing. We are good. Yoo-hoo. Oh, yes. All right, we are back, and I am geeked. You know why? Because I took the tires out into the neighborhood, and they did not rub on the base of those springs, and they are good to go. We are in business for 29-inch 235 75 R15 tires, Falken Wild Peaks on the Pajero Mini K car. That is awesome. And it makes this thing look so much better. I mean, just. So, was there any rubbing? Very slight rubbing at full lock, but it wasn't that bad. I took it a little off-road in my yard, very slowly up the hill, no problem, in four-wheel drive, whatever, some bumps and stuff. There wasn't any rubbing. I checked the inside of the tire. I think I took it around 70, 75 miles an hour. It actually decreased the engine speed by quite a bit. So it was sitting at like around 5,000 RPM at like 70, 75 miles an hour. That's a really, actually kind of a positive thing in my eyes. Yes, the acceleration definitely decreased, and that's something you should keep in mind. If you want your little Pajero Mini, or really any car for that matter, to have optimal acceleration, making the tires bigger does not help that. It hurts that. But in exchange for that, you get more relaxed highway driving. Overall, I think these Jeep YJ wheels look great. I am gonna keep an eye on these spacers and just check the tightness. I put around 100 foot-pound torque on the lug nuts, so hopefully they won't be backing out, and there was plenty of thread for me to thread those on. So I will keep an eye on it though. As far as the stance goes, the tires just pop out just ever so slightly, but oh man, it's just completely transformed. It no longer looks like a little dinky clown car, and while it is a little bit taller now, which makes me look smaller, I don't mind that because adding these tires added a 2-inch lift to the car, and I didn't actually do any lift. It's just 2 inches higher now because of these beefy, meaty old guys right here. I'm super happy with this, and hopefully in the future, maybe we'll put some new shocks and springs on here, and this will be a little fun little project we get going. But anyway, that's how you put 235s or 29-inch tires on a K SUV like this Mitsubishi Pajero. Now, I don't know if it'd be the same for the Suzuki Jimny or it'd be easier or harder, but for the Pajero Mini, you can make it work with 5mm spacers, Jeep YJ wheels like these, don't know the offset, and big old meaty Falken Wild Peak 235/75 R15s. Thanks for watching the very first episode on this new channel. If you want more content, please let me know. And if you're enjoying this, please subscribe. Thanks so much. Till next time, bye-bye.